It's the ZLORD podcast.
Hi, this is Carter.
Yep, that's Carter, and this is teZa. And I hope everybody's having a beautiful day.
Yep, it's getting to cool off a little bit. It's the fall now.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's crispy, it's beautiful, and the change. Ah, yes, the change.
Take a little edge off of that heat. So, what's the subject of conversation today?
I was just thinking about something besides the subject. I was thinking about the weather changing, and it's like life. Everything changes. The weather is just like life. You know, every day the weather's different, the sea is different, the tide is different, the beach is different, the birds are different,
That's
the
right.
wind, everything's different every day.
That's right.
So, we had kind of, sort of decided to talk about meditation, but that's a big, broad subject. So how do you want to talk about it, Carter?
Well, it was an interesting last night. We were with a member of our family who's young and strong, male guy, and he's in the entertainment business. He's working hard, and the entertainment business is, it's 14, 16-hour days, and he's production manager on the floor, and it's just busy. And he's busy, and he's real smart and works hard, and he's good at it. But he was saying somehow the subject of meditation comes up, and he said, I've been trying to thinking I should learn and do some meditation because I'm just so slammed all the time, and I just need to calm down, and I think it'll help me. And I said, well, just by chance, you're sitting with one of the greatest experts on meditation, which was you, teZa, that I know in the whole world. I mean, you've got 30, 40 years of it under your belt, and you were in a really bad situation when you began trying it. Actually, you've got more than 40 years.
More
you've
like
got
50.
60 years.
More like, I'm 77, and I got into meditation when I was 18, so just one more year, it'll be, what's that?
And you had a particularly difficult situation where you had been disowned by your family, and you were kind of bent over and in a lot of pain, and had been to the doctor. They actually had you scheduled for exploratory surgery. They were going to cut you open and try to find out what was hurting you. And you went to a TM class, right? Just by chance. Somebody told you to go.
It wasn't by chance, no.
Well,
I was desperate. A friend said, do you want to try something, meditation, before they cut you open? I said, yes, I'll try anything.
And this is in the mid-60s, man, late 60s.
It was 67, 68, right about when you were graduating college, and I was living as an artist in
Boston.
In Cambridge, Massachusetts, not Boston.
And so you
across
went
the river.
And you had that experience, and the pain went away.
Instantly.
And
Instantly. The moment I was taught to, use a mantra. So it was a mantra initiation, which is a little different than just like some people go to a meditation class at their Y or their exercise class or their yoga class, and they're taught to relax. But it's different. When you are initiated with a mantra, it's like going to Rome to meet the Pope, if you're a Catholic, or it's going to Mecca if you're a Muslim.
What is a mantra?
A mantra is a sacred sound that is given, in this particular case, it was given as an initiation into the discipline of meditation. So, for instance, somebody can learn to meditate by using an app. Lots of people use apps. Some people use CDs. Some people use a book. But I was so desperate, and I was in such a bad way that I went to the TM people, that stands for Transcendental Meditation, who had just come to the States in the mid-60s. They're bringing meditation technique with them.
But they weren't even talking about it as meditation, right? They were kind of suit and tie people.
They were saying it was going to make you more efficient in life
rather than your business.
They didn't talk about spirituality. Let's put it that way.
It's interesting.
Because spirituality was not even talked about in
On
those
the
days.
radar.
It was like in society in those days, nobody ever talked about people dying. Nobody ever talked about them having cancer, and they certainly never talked about their spiritual life. People just thought you were crazy.
And there were no yoga classes, right?
Well, for me, I couldn't find any. Some people say that there was yoga on TV. I forget her name, Leelas or something, but I didn't watch TV.
It's a different era.
Yeah, it was a different era.
But-
so let me just tell the story
Okay.
instead of you. So I was desperate. I mean, I'm really lucky because what got me into yoga, which is the poses, was because I was crippled with scoliosis. So that's another form of desperation. But a lot of people live with pain from bad backs and, injuries. So I got into yoga first. But then when I had this incident where my parents basically disowned me because they thought I was a bad person, not the girl that they wanted to claim as their child, because I had chosen to live in a certain situation after art school, and they disowned me. And I felt that was very unfair, very uncool, and I wasn't going to change my behavior because they were threatening to cut me off with no money or anything. So I went into a very bad, I guess you would call it depression, but I didn't feel depressed. I just couldn't operate because I had this terrible pain that in these days they would call it a psychosomatic pain. But in those days, in the 60s, they really did not understand the correlation between the mind and the body. And so when, we've talked about this before. People who are listeners on ZLORD, they've heard this story before because it's fascinating. But whenever we talk about meditation, we talk about my particular story. So anyway, I was given initiation because I was desperate, and voila, instantly it was like boom. It was like, to me, it was like fireworks going off in my mind, which today I know is called the Kundalini awakening. For some people, it's very loud. For other people, it's very soft and subtle. But for me, it was really like an explosion going off in my mind, a good explosion of light-filled beauty and harmony. And all of a sudden, there was no pain. And I said, whoa, that got my attention. So I decided I better learn how to do this stuff, And meditation is a discipline. It's just like if somebody wanted to play the piano or the saxophone. You don't just pick it up and start, playing like a master. You have to learn how to do it. So I learned how to do it, and I've had many wonderful teachers. I've spent countless hours in workshops and meditation retreats and silence and just delving into that place within, and I'm very, very, very familiar with it.
Okay, so let me ask.
Very comfortable with it.
Okay, so now we jump shift to 2025, and here we have this young, aggressive, strong, smart, hardworking production manager in the entertainment business who's a little bit overstressed, working a little bit too hard, putting in big hours, and he thinks he needs to get some. He asked you specifically about meditation and how do you do it.
He didn't. No, he did. He just asked me about mantra.
No, he asked you about meditation.
No, he asked
there.
me about mantra. He said, what do you mean about mantra? He asked me about mantra, very specifically about mantra. He did not ask me, like, where do you meditate? What clothes do you wear? What is there a ritual? He didn't ask me. He just said, what do you mean about mantra?
He said, I need to learn how to meditate, I think. And so I stopped him in the conversation. I says, oh, that's interesting because you've got an expert right here. What is it that you want to, what is your thinking about it? And then in the course of that, the mantra thing came up.
Yeah.
But I was right there, I remember.
Right.
So anyway,
Wait. Before
doesn't matter what he asked.
Before you go any further, Carter, that's an entree.
Right.
And so the next step would
what
be
would he do?
For that young man to get in touch with me and say, hey, can you help me out? But I'm not going to knock on his door and say, oh, I see you need help. No, if somebody really needs help, they reach out. Because,
So what should he do?
Because he might not be at the place yet where he doesn't have that gift of desperation. And the desperation part is sometimes necessary in our society, because our society doesn't go around offering meditation to every kid in school. The only people who end up knowing about meditation, like I taught our grandson, he was there last night too, as a gift for his 13th birthday. Now he's 14, and so I said to him, 14 in a couple months, and I said, have you ever meditated since I taught you how to meditate? And he said,
No. Right, so that's an example of that situation, but that wasn't my experience last night. So let's just say that he did say, I think I need to learn how to meditate. How should I go about it? So how would you answer that question? That's the question for somebody who's a 26-year-old, hardworking business person who is going hard and needs to get some peace and quiet in their life in this time period. How would you go about that?
There's many different ways.
How would you do it?
There's many different ways. It depends on what his life is like. If he has no time, then he can find something really accessible, like online. There's many teachers who teach meditation. Myself, I put out mind stillers on my YouTube channel. I haven't in quite a while, but there's quite a few of them up there. They're mind stilling meditation, guided meditation. Then there's people who are known to be meditation teachers. I'm not a teacher, I'm just a meditator. So I share my love of meditation and the salvation that it's given me with pain and with mental torment and all those other things that you go through with your mind kind of messing with you. I wanted to feel happiness, so I offer it, not because I call myself a teacher, just because I love to share what turns me on. So one would go to YouTube and type in meditation technique. Or one would, if one has a weekend, you can go away for a workshop. Or if you have a week, you can go away for a week-long workshop. Or if you want, you can go on a plane and go to places like Mexico or Tulum or Bali. There's places all around the world, and there's Kripalu, which is right in Lenox, Massachusetts, which is known as the Yoga University of America. They always have instructions. There's so many places.
And what could he hope to realize if he could start to? Because I don't believe he's a very particularly prayerful guy, although he's open to it. And prayer, if I'm correct in saying that prayer is more like speaking to God, and meditation is more like being quiet and listening to God. Does that sound right?
Yes. But if one has a hard time with the word God, you don't have to use the word God. You can just
the universe.
You can say the universe. You can say consciousness. You can say the absolute. You can say the eternal. You can say the sacred, the divine, consciousness.
Okay, and the object would be that we all have a busy and unruly mind, and he certainly does, and I do, and most people do, but especially hard-working, hard-driving people. Mm-hmm. And so the object of the meditation then is to somehow get control of that monkey mind that's constantly chattering and calm it down so that you can get some peace and quiet. Is that the basic object?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So the monkey mind is not messing with you. So the monkey mind is at peace. And so that's why I love the mantra technique. Some people do not use mantra when they're meditating. They might just follow their breath or look at a candle or look at a mandala or other things visually. But for me, mantra works because it's like feeding the banana to the monkey mind. It's giving the monkey mind something to do. Oh, instead of chattering, you give this monkey, which is just a figure of speech, that's our mind that's constantly going here and there and messing with our serenity. But if you give it a mantra, especially a mantra that has significance, that has been used for eons, not just something that we make up, and not an affirmation. Because an affirmation is usually a wish, like I wish to be something or I wish it would happen. But a mantra is a sacred tool that has been handed down for eons. And it's something that seekers have been using for centuries. So it has a little more significance than working with an affirmation.
And it might not necessarily even be in English, right? It might be in Sanskrit or something.
The mantra that I use is Sanskrit. Om Namah Shivaya. You say it Om Namah Shivaya on the in-breath. Om Namah Shivaya on the out-breath. So you're saying it silently, but you're saying Om Namah Shivaya. And when I'm walking, for instance, it increases because my breath becomes increased. So when you're walking vigorously, you go Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, because you're breathing more intensely. Or if you're swimming laps, and then it could slow down, because I use the mantra also to go to sleep with. So as your mind is quieting down, the mantra might sound something like Om Namah Shivaya. And it becomes very, very long and drawn out. So it's totally a breath thing. You coordinate it with your breath.
And so this kind of would take over this chattering away. Like in my mind, I know that I've got these never-ending thoughts sometimes they're not even, they're just all over the place. So, but a mantra like that will drown that out. Not necessarily drown it out, but it'll take the place of.
It takes the place of.
It'll overcome
that,
and it'll allow me to think about the mantra more.
It's a discipline too, because first of all, a person has to have a desire. You have to have a desire to want to be quiet. Some people don't give a shit. They really don't care about being quiet. They think it's not cool to be quiet, or they want to be very active, and it depends on your temperament. But if somebody is harassed by debilitating thoughts, especially, which was the case with me, debilitating, like I'm no good, and why did that happen, and like, geez, who can I trust, and things that are very detrimental for a happy life. I didn't want to live like that. So I just finally got to the place where I said, I need help. I sought a teacher. I was very fortunate to have wonderful teachers. And I, experimented with different teachers and different techniques until finally something clicked. I spent years going from one way of meditating to the next until I finally found what worked for me.
Yeah, but you put out the effort also. You didn't just sit there and wait. You went seeking. So a lot of that came about as a result of your efforts.
Yeah, because I was desperate.
And there's a book written called The Way of the Pilgrim, which is about that. It's a mantra, but it's the Jesus prayer, and it's in English, and it's not a particularly prayer that rolls off your tongue very well, because
but that's your thing, so it works for you, and you found the thing that works for you.
But it's the same concept in that that book was basically about, Paul said, pray unceasingly, and the guy said, how do you do that? And the book started out saying, well, you just repeat this phrase, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, over and over and over again. No matter what you're doing, you can do it in the midst of talking to somebody, and you just work it into your life, and then it becomes like this ongoing mantra. And the book was about that, and I actually tried it, and it's a powerful thing. And the same with your Om Namah Shivaya thing, because I noticed that I know by living with you that you wake up, and you're the best person for waking up in a good mood of anybody I've ever known in my life. And I know it's because you've trained yourself that when you start to come out of the sleep, you start in on that mantra, and it's working away. So
I also do other things besides just the mantra. I it's prayer time for me. I set my goal for the day. I ask God just to let me be a tool, to let me serve in whatever capacity I may be useful. I don't have an agenda. I don't wake up saying, oh, today I'm going to conquer the world. I just ask, the presence of the divine to show me how I can be useful, to make myself humble. And I do an alignment. I imagine myself here on this earth. I'm a human being. I've got my feet on the planet, on the earth, but my consciousness is connected to the entire cosmos. So I'm both. I'm human and I'm cosmic. And that's my comfort zone. I like that.
Well, I like it too, being your mate, because it's pretty nice to be around that. It's a great attitude. And I mean, it's very, very pleasant to be around. And you always, almost every single day, you thank me for marrying you. I couldn't believe it for the first couple of years. Every single freaking day, I said, my God, I can't believe this. How did I stumble into this one? Because I'd been in other situations where people would get up in the morning and say, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Get out there and do the dishes. Pick up your clothes.
What are you doing? Anyway.
Yeah.
But so okay, well, that's very interesting. And so this guy, that I'll follow up with him then, because he did kind of lay out the question, and then he didn't ask a bunch of questions.
Well, the conversation went here and there and everywhere.
And he's a little bit ADD, and he's got a little bit of ADD in his life. I've got a little ADD in my life. You don't have ADD.
Not that I know.
But you did have trauma. So
yes, we all have something.
We've all got something.
We all have something. There's no person who's perfect. I mean, everybody should meditate, not just for those who need to, heal from trauma or get their mind more focused, which is the way it was presented, at Harvard when I went to the talks about TM back in the day when I had my initiation. They were having these sponsored talks because it was Harvard and it was the 60s. And they said, oh, yeah, if you meditate, you'll be able to really get better grades and really excel at that first job that comes along, and you'll be, the head of your career. So it was all kind of success-oriented in those days because people were not comfortable with talking about a spiritual life. Now we embrace the fact that we are spiritual beings with a human existence. That's becoming more and more comfortable for people to talk about. So of course, the people who are teaching meditation, they don't have to talk about the success ratio for when you meditate, but of course that's a given. But more importantly, it puts you in tune with who you really are. You are a spiritual soul, and your soul needs to be nurtured as well as your desires as a human, or your desires to eat certain foods or to have certain comforts, We want to comfort our soul. And we want to also be in touch with our soul's purpose. Each one of us is here for a reason. We're so unique. We're not just these cookie cutter little cells that are all just functioning exactly alike. Each one of us has a different role in our world. And it's up to us to discover that. And meditation, when we get quiet, helps us to understand that and to work with those desires. Like I'm a writer and I'm an artist, but I've always done other things to support myself because I've never desired to make a lot of money by selling my things. I wanted to have the expression of pure creativity. So I'd have jobs like, designing gardens or, having a restaurant, all sorts of different businesses to make money, good money. And then I could just do whatever I wanted to in my creative world. And I'm satisfied with that. I feel very fulfilled. I feel that I have been true to myself as an artist. And I've never gone without. Only once in my life did I have to borrow money, like $200, about 40 years ago. And
I know, and you went down to the Caribbean with no money into the most expensive place. I couldn't believe you did that, and you just made your way.
Well, it wasn't expensive
Pretty
in those
good.
days. I was living there in the 70s, and I was having a business, too. I was running a business, so...
Yeah, but you created it out of
Yes.
nothing. You didn't have any business when you went. You had nothing.
Yeah. But
Pretty good.
a lot of what we are as people or as spiritual people or as just humans in our little world is like, what do we desire? What do we really want in our lives? And like we were talking last night, our daughter was saying her mantra is, all my wishes have come true. So, that's important for her. And that's her mantra. Remember? We were talking about that?
Something like that.
And so at least she's aware of what her wishes or her desires are. A lot of people don't. They don't take the time to say, oh, what really turns me on? What flips my bid? What makes me motivated to get out of bed in the morning? Because I just can't wait to get
That's like an
involved.
affirmation.
Yeah, it is. It's
like
an affirmation.
But the other good thing about the meditation is that it's all part and parcel of that whole getting on the now thing, which is the Eckhart Tolle thing. And one of the great things about life that we all strive for, and that it took me many years to understand how important it was being on the now, being on the moment. And if I can get on the now, then everything is great. Because it's only when I'm feeling bad, it's only because I'm either thinking about something that happened in the past or imagining something that might or might not happen in the future. Then in those situations, I'm having a discord. But if I'm good right now, I'm good, and that's a big thing to learn and to understand. And
Yep.
I remember when the whole "be here now" thing came out. I don't know what the hell they were talking about. That was the late '60s. But that's what
Do you
they
know?
were.
Do you
yeah,
understand
I do
it
now.
now?
But that's what they were talking about.
So what does it mean to you now?
It just means that to be here, don't be like thinking about Memphis or Paris, or if you're here, you're here, and so make sure you are where you are right now at this moment, and you're being as opposed to becoming. We're not becoming. The exercise is to be, and that is a big difference, because we're not working for some goal. I mean, we all are doing that too, but basically, if we're being something now, then we are whole, and we're part of the whole, and we exist as part of the universe. And meditation allows me, when I'm successful with it, which is not always, but sometimes, and I do it quite a bit, but it's a work in progress. And when I'm plugged in, then I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good, and I'm right being part of everything. And I'm not like, oh, I don't have this, and I don't have a lack, and oh, I got to hurry up and do this or make that or do this or make some money or do whatever it is. No, that's not. I'm just here as a human animal, and I'm not worried about being too fat or too skinny or too weak or too strong or any of that crap. It's just now and here. And that is what meditation ultimately is the goal of. And I listened to something interesting, and then I'll quit talking. Just by chance, I was in the YouTube, and something came up that said, Edgar Cayce's 3 secrets to meditation. Well, first of all, they had Cayce's names. I know quite a bit about Edgar Cayce, and they had it spelled Casey. So I knew right off the bat the guy was missing something. At least he had his name spelled wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said 3 things. He said Cayce, he had a big long thing about it, but he said Cayce's information is that there's 3 things to be successful in meditation. The first one is the breath, the in and out in the breath. And I know that that's true because that's also the thing in the yoga, the in and out of the breath. And then the next thing was, which I'd never heard of, even though I've been in Cayce stuff for a long time. Imagine white light at the top of your head, outside of your head, and having that white light come down and move through your body all the way down from the top of your head all the way down into your solar plexus, that would be working through your chakras, through the 7th chakras, and illuminating them and bringing light into them. And the third thing was say something sacred while you're doing it, like a mantra, or like, it was a mantra, basically is what it was. So I thought that was a pretty interesting summation of it. He had it summed up pretty good, and he was 10 or 15 minutes. You listen to it, and you got
Well, we've done quite a bit of meditating with the Casey people, even in Virginia Beach. I've never heard about the white
I never
light
heard
technique.
about the white light technique.
But it's
either.
interesting.
It's interesting to think about.
But if you only bring it down to your navel, that's not the complete.
Well, I think you go
total
all the
picture.
way to the bottom
Yeah.
of the feet.
And working with light that you can imagine, you're visualizing light. That's very useful. It's a very useful technique. I do that especially if I'm thinking I'm sick, and I want to bring energy into my body. That's that's a Eckhart Tolle. He had that technique for scanning your body. Remember?
I do. About the pain body.
If you feel it wasn't just about the pain body. It was if you're feeling sickness coming in, and he wrote this way before the pandemic began. It's in Power of Now. It's a technique that he uses, which uses light, which is consciousness. Light equals the light of consciousness. It's a metaphor, really. I mean, it's really energy. I mean, if somebody has trouble visualizing white light, they could just work with energy. It's like feeling energy. It might not have a color attached to it. But Eckhart Tolle said to more or less start at the base of your body where you're lying down and bring the light or the energy of light up very slowly into all the different limbs and through the trunk of your body and all the way up and out through your head.
Yeah, bring it from the bottom up instead of from the top down. That was interesting.
Those are just different techniques for different teachers.
Yeah.
And for Eckhart Tolle's purpose, it was to help bring in some healing when sickness was coming. And I've used that quite a bit, and it's helpful. It's very helpful. But, there's many different ways. It's like all the different religions in the world. And now we have this challenge in our humanness where people are getting anxious because of the political differences.
Jesus.
And I just think we should touch on that a little bit, because when you have a spiritual life, it doesn't mean that you're shunning the world. It doesn't mean that you're hiding in a cave and you don't want to know about all the difficulty. It's just that you perceive these challenges in a different way than maybe a person who doesn't have as much trust in the spiritual forces of life. So when I see the disparities that happen, whether it's between different religions or different cultures or even different political parties, I just see that as an opportunity for me to accept that the divine, the sacredness in life comes to us in many different forms. And for the main thing is to accept all the many different forms, and not just to say, oh, well, my way is the only way. My meditation technique is the best because I use the mantra. But if somebody else is using sound or breath, that's just as powerful for them. I mean, I know spiritual people who get all in a huff because, they're not being acknowledged as being the ones who are the leaders of spirituality. It even happens in the spiritual world. It's human nature. People are always challenging each other. I'm better. You're not as good. You see that with little kids too. But when you're really interested in having a heightened experience, which to me is the spiritual life, and to be conscious of it and to nurture it and to accept that it happens in all arenas, not just when you're sitting down and ready to meditate or when you're putting on your Sunday best and going to church. It happens all the time. And it really is about embracing this experience as an opportunity to whatever comes our way, to accept that it's just the different forms of the sacred, of the divine. There's nothing that should be, oh no, that's not right. Okay, we can say that animal sacrifice is not accepted anymore, but there may be cultures that we don't know about who are tucked away in obscure places that haven't yet come to light. I think they still find people in the Amazon maybe, or in the Philippines, lost tribes that haven't yet come into society. And, if people are still stuck in some kind of really early ways of connecting with their sacredness, they have not yet been exposed to the different ways that we have, because we're evolving. We're evolving as a human family, and we're constantly influencing each other. And it's not just this little pocket of Muslims over there and a little pocket of Catholics over there and a little pocket of heathens over there. We're just all blending, and we're spiraling into evolution together. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I don't pay attention to the differences. I really look for the magic connections, the energy of consciousness, the love, which is really a high vibration of energy. When you manifest love as opposed to judgment or saying that's not right, that's not love. When you accept something with love and understanding, you say, well, maybe I need to open my mind to something, right? It's a different vibration. Also, one other thing, if we're talking about what do people do who want to elevate their consciousness, yes, meditation is really important, but it is equally important who you choose to hang out with, who you choose to have as your friends, who and what you choose to do with your time. That is equally important, because somebody could meditate and go to retreats all their life, and then if they go home and just watch some horrible TV about some demeaning, terribleness that's on TV these days, they're nullifying everything that they've done, right? By putting images like that into their consciousness. Or if they're with friends who don't acknowledge that the spiritual is a really wonderful and valid experience of life. It's not just about achieving status or wealth or position. It's about achieving inner peace. So I would tell anybody who's really hungry for the spiritual life to learn to meditate, experiment with all the different opportunities and all the various ways of meditating, and then also be really careful about who you spend your time with, who you choose to have as your friend, and especially who you marry. Like when I married you, the reason I keep thanking you for marrying me, because Carter, you're a highly evolved spiritual guy. I mean, you have it all. You're good looking, you're worldly, and you're also really interested in being close to God. I mean, I think you're a perfect package. I may have to marry you all over again.
Oh my God, look at her. She's saying I'm a spiritual guy, and the first thing she does is she says she likes the way I look. God, it's such a giveaway.
Oh, I'm so superficial. Well, I don't know. That's just icing on the cake, isn't it? That was just good.
That's the least.
But people who.
But it's nice to like the way you look. I like the way you look.
People who linger in good thoughts, it reflects upon their face. Yeah. If somebody has a scowl on their face, it's not necessarily because they were born that way. It's because they harbor thoughts that are making them get depressed or scowl or something like that.
You can see old people. They just some old people just glow, and it's because they've just prayed a lot, and they've thought good things about other people, and so then it just exudes out of them, and it's nice you can really tell a lot, especially by old people, by just the way they look.
Yeah.
Especially Meredith, I was sitting with her today. Gosh, she's just like beaming. She's 90 years old. She's prayed up.
She's prayerful.
She's just
prayerful.
Constantly in prayer, and she's just beaming with beautiful. God, it's beautiful to be around somebody like that.
So this is going full circle, our conversation today, because we've been thinking a lot about how you think is how you are. And if somebody is not happy with their life, well, guess what? It's because they have not really examined how they think. And their thoughts somehow have captured them. And maybe it's just because they're unhappy or they see the world in a negative way, but that's where to start. And even before you start to meditate, you can start looking at your thoughts.
It's interesting.
What kind of thoughts you have.
I just happen to have this here. So that's called the destiny of the mind. What you allow the mind to focus on, that you become. This is the law of destiny. Whatever you choose to build within yourself becomes a part of you, a part of your personal destiny. As he thinks in his heart, so is he. Whatsoever he sows, that shall he reap. All things that you think that men should do to you, do those to them, for this is the law. And it is in the doing and the applying that the awareness comes. It's what you do about what you know that you become in yourself. And that is your destiny. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a great passage. I happened to write that down. So that's what okay.
So
Well,
that's the golden rule.
Okay.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But it starts with us. Each one of us has to be responsible for what we hold in our mind.
And to calm down. And so meditation is the beginning of American wild, crazy, high-speed, hard work. Yeah. Getting that into somehow under control. It's a nice thought for this young man to be wanting to, realizing he needs to get control of the peace that's in his, that is not in his life, and become a little more peaceful in the doing. And so that's a great thing. Okay.
I think I've always thought everybody should learn to meditate in schools. When that day happens, we will have changed our society. That's for sure.
That would be
I mean, it's just as important as it is in knowing how to exercise and keep fit and not become obese and to have a healthy life. So
more important.
All three aspects, body, mind, and spirit, they're equally important. We have to give importance to balancing our different aspects of our humanness. So, with that in mind, Carter,
all right.
Would you like to
drum us out here?
Drum us out here. And I know Carter, maybe he's not going to laugh at me anymore because we heard a great sermon at a funeral of a friend the other day. That because I always end our program by saying, if nobody's ever told you lately that they love you, I do. I love you. So, Carter, you're not going to laugh anymore, right? You may laugh, but you don't.
It's great, baby. I appreciate that you love everybody, and it's sincere. God bless you. I appreciate it.
I think it's important to spread love, and it's not phony.
I know
I'm not doing it because I want to get a lot of likes. I'm doing it because I honestly feel that, and you know what?
That's a great thing.
It feels good to tell somebody that you love them.
All right.
I do. I love each and every one of you. And so does Carter, even though he can't say it yet. One day he will.
All right. There you go.
Om Namah Shivaya.
See you later, you guys.
See you next time.
God bless everybody.